Hey,
why do you panic?
The way you, Papa, you know Papa.
Figuratively, he bites as hard as he can.
Okay.
And of course, when he puts his fangs into you, you certainly feel it. I think it pretty.
Watch Johnny's bite.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. It's Friday. Juma Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. And as always, when you pray, pray for Ghana. Yesterday, I saw my brother Kwame Dazi ask a question about the promised airport in the central region. There's a very interesting response from Dr. Mustafa Hamid on that post. And while I read, I was still looking forward to actually finding the answers to why the people of Cape Coast, who were told that they had good news, actually still do not have the airport that was promised them. And the explanation that Dr. Mustafa Hamid gave was that, there's been a port at Elmina. And based on how the unutilized airport at Ho, things had turned out there, so maybe that's why we don't have it. But the question that came to mind immediately is that, was the Ho airport completed? That's one. Number two, if it was not completed, was it feasible for it to have been completed? Number three, what would it mean for the people of the Volta region, for the people of Ho, and for, in fact, the totality of Ghanaians who would want to go to the Volta region or go to Ho via plane? What would it mean for that economy, for that side of the country? And the other question that you want to ask is there a deliberate plan not to utilize it, not to actualize it because it was not built by another person and was built by another person? These are very simple questions that we ask. And while I ask these questions, maybe we expect the answers to come, not the attacks and the abuses, because those ones, it doesn't answer the questions. So, for example, as we stand here, prison officers have not had their first and second quarter of their rent and some allowances that are owed them. I know prison officers who are being harassed by their landlords because they have to pay for these rent, and the landlords, they don't understand the language that government has not been able to give them the first or the second quarters. We are entering the third quarter of the year. Today is the 28th of June, the third quarter of the year. What is the new thing, and why do these monies delay? Who is answering those questions? And if, for example, the prison officers are being harassed because the first and second quarters of their rent allowance, where they lay their head to get their peace of mind together with their families to come and deliver, because after the police has done their job and then the courts have done their job, you leave people you consider to be deviants in society and a danger to society in the hands of these prison officers. If the prison officers do not have the peace of mind, you can then imagine what could possibly happen. And if people do not have the peace of mind, they could be corrupted, because when they find themselves in a fix, they will yield to people who can influence them for whatever reason. So this is a very passionate appeal to the Interior Minister, Mr. Henry Quartey. First and second quarters of prison officers' rent allowance and some other allowances for their upkeep has not come. Please, I beg you, expedite action on this one, because it is on my heart. Later today, the going conversation will be on radio on 3FM 92.7. They were asking a very simple question, that Dr. Bawumia and Napo, is it going to be the dynamic duo, or is it going to be double trouble? Dr. Baumia and Napo, 2 doctors. Is it going to be the dynamic duo, or is it going to be double trouble? And we are asking a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. We're asking Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, and you can always join the conversation. We will have that conversation at 9, so you want to join us as we have that conversation. But yesterday also, somebody sent me something from inside the bus of an STC coach. Somebody sent me something from inside the bus of an STC coach. Listen.
I just joined STC, the state transport from Boga to Tamale and onwards to Accra, to Kumasi. Interestingly, it started raining, and less than 5 minutes, the whole bus is wet. Look at this is STC for you. The whole bus is leaking. And so it's interesting how they allocate their buses to the northern part of Ghana. They allocate wretched buses that are very rickety and can't are not good for our roads. It's raining. Just look at the bus. Look inside. Look. Just look at it. It's not even so heavy. The whole bus is leaking. See.
Now you're paying for service, and this is the service you get. I thought this was the specialty of rickety trotro. So how did we get to the point where people get onto buses and the bus is leaking, literally? It's there, the bus is leaking. This is somebody traveling. And I remember that I asked that question about the people up north complaining that they don't get the best quality of buses to ply their roads. And this is evidence or proof. How do you get on a bus? Pay. And it's not a free ride. You pay for it. And then you get this kind of service. It is completely unacceptable. Because the competitors, who are private people, do not have their buses leaking. And when you talk about it, people say, oh, you want to, you are running down nobody is interested in running anybody down. We are saying that we have seen in the past the service that a company like STC provided to the people of Ghana and to neighboring countries. And so if the service has come to this point, show the leaking bus. If the service has come to this point, where now people are forced to take videos and send to Johnny Hughes to put it on Johnny's Bite because they paid for a ride and the ride was not the best and the bus is leaking, we must all as Ghanaians talk about it. More so when, and I've asked that question too many times, I got the answer, that the STC fleet is insured by Enterprise Insurance Company. We all know the faces behind Enterprise Insurance Company. We do, don't we? And you ask yourself why, for example, these buses are not being insured by the SIC. And then we are told that, oh, it is because the ADB's facility is what the facility that they brought came with the insurers. So the question you want to ask is, within that triangle, why did ADB decide not to use SIC, if that is true, to insure the STC buses? And my ultimate question stands, is government refusing to do business with government? I leave that one here. Show me the table. And I've been talking about tier 2 tier 3, and tier 1 of people's pension. What you see here is from GEHOC. Put it up there. It's from GEHOC. Staff deductions that are outstanding. You can see the dates. December 2022, January 2023, February, all the way down. Tier 1 was in arrears, and I showed you this before. Tier 2 pension, same. Tier 3 pension, same. And I'm showing you this for a reason. That there is supposed to be a management at GEHOC. And GEHOC used to be very, very profitable, but not anymore. Did you know, for example, that GEHOC had gone for a loan from a bank, and the collateral is the institution called GEHOC? GEHOC, they have gone for a loan from a bank, and the collateral is the company called GEHOC. So in the likely event that they are unable to pay the loan, we will see what we saw within the cocoa sector, where official vehicles and the rest were taken away by the banks because they couldn't pay the loans. And instead of the management at GEHOC focusing on these, they are bent on harassing people. Show me the letters. There's a letter with a green marking. And yesterday I saw one letter written by the lawyers for GEHOC. They say they are acting as solicitors. Not paying tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 is a crime against the state. And it is only GEHOC on record, and I showed you that SSNIT took GEHOC to court. That GRA wrote and actually moved to garnish the account at the NIB. That is the true state of affairs. I showed you this letter in 2023. I can tell you that some of the people who received these letters have quit the job. Now, let's read the letter together. It's dated the 27th of June, 2023. And I'm bringing it back one full year cycle. This person worked with the production department. And it says, "Dear Mr. So and so, proceed on leave. Management wishes to inform you to proceed immediately on your annual leave effective 29 June 2023. On that note, you are required to hand over immediately your work schedule and all company's assets in your custody to the human resource manager." Signed by Maxwell Kofi Juma. Honorable is the managing director of GEHOC, which is now falling. Tell you what, at some point it became so embarrassing that GEHOC owed so much that people had to come and take back ethanol that they had sold to GEHOC on credit. That's how bad the situation was. I told you about the production levels that have dropped, even though the staff size has increased or ballooned. Now, there's a list of people who took GEHOC to court. These letters come from it. Look at the list. They took GEHOC to court, right? They're still in court, so I will not discuss the detail of the matter. I'll leave that for the honorable court to decide. But all these people, they took GEHOC to court. Why did they take GEHOC to court? They took GEHOC to court because somebody woke up one morning and decided that he was going to sack all of them. What did they do? What was their crime? I said, I'll leave that for the court to decide. But there's also record that I have that some of them were begged to come back to work. And there's one breastfeeding mother who currently has actually had cause to go before the National Labor Commission. And this one, I'm greeting the National Labor Commission. I am following this. She was a manager. She went on maternity leave. In fact, while she was pregnant, she was arrested and put in handcuffs. What was their crime? That they suspected that she was going to kill somebody and then also steal from the company. I am also following that matter. Put the other documents there. The other documents. Just choose at random. I'll speak to it. So this is from the lawyers of GEHOC, and it's dated the 18th of June 2024. Request to transfer proceedings in the matter of Dorcas Konedu Fofie and Opoku Mensah versus GEHOC Distilleries Company Limited. And that's why I said I'm shocked that GEHOC had lawyers who maybe should have advised them that defaulting in the payment of SSNIT, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, so that Metropolitan Insurance will now write to you and inform you, and I'll show you that document, that SSNIT will take you to court and GRA will write to you. I thought the lawyers would have told them that there's something wrong. You are breaking the law. But no. They are interested in supporting the client to literally, as the people feel, and I'm only reporting how the people have told me they feel frustrated. How do you arrest a pregnant woman and keep her behind bars for somebody to come and bail her? And you say that there's crime. What was the charge? Or we are just using iron fists to trample upon the rights of people who are helpless. And I say, I am watching the National Labour Commission on this particular matter, how the National Labour Commission will deal with it. Because it is only GEHOC that had the ICU, Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, come there. Honorable K.T. Hammond, who is the minister, came there. The Deputy Minister for Trade came there. You know what it means when unionists and the sector minister and everybody starts trooping to a workplace? It means that all is not well. When they went there, they had debates with the staff, to the point where the staff of GEHOC were not even allowed to demonstrate. Policemen were brought in to prevent them from demonstrating. And I'm saying, are we using the strong hands? Put the other documents there. Are we using the strong hands to intimidate those who are helpless? The breastfeeding mother, as I speak to you, went on maternity leave, which is every woman's right in this country. As soon as you are pregnant, you get the opportunity. And up until now, she insists that she has not been paid while on maternity leave. She has not been paid while on maternity leave. And again, I'm watching the National Labour Commission. This is from SSNIT. So this was what I was talking about. Special demand notice dated 23rd of January 2023. Non-payment of social security contributions. This is a crime. And the lawyers of GEHOC should have told them that it is a crime. Did they? I don't know. But it says, a review of records on your establishment revealed an indebtedness of 497,211 Ghana cedis, 94 pesos. That's for first year only, as of January 2023. Please note that this amount excludes penalty, which will be communicated to you in due course. The actuals are there. Now you ask yourself the question, all these things have happened. Should it not have pricked the conscience of the appointors? Should it not have pricked the conscience of the appointors and their advisors to have done something about the leadership at GEHOC? Should it not? The worker intimidation, show the other documents. The worker intimidation, non-payment. This is the GRA letter. 27th of April, 2023. Addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, National Investment Bank, Accra. It says, Dear Sir or Madam, third-party debtor notice. Notice of assessment and demand for payment were served on GEHOC Distilleries Limited for the amount of 231,952,066 Ghana cedis. But the company has not paid. The Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority believes that you have funds due to the company at your bank. Pursuant to Section 60 and 61 of the Revenue Administration Act 2016 at 915, the Commissioner General directs you to pay over to the Ghana Revenue Authority such funds, money, wages, or salaries that you are holding for the company now or in the future up to the amount cited above for the application to the company. When you pay the Ghana Revenue Authority the amount cited, such lessee a lesser amount for which you are obliged to the company, you will have satisfied responsibly under the third-party debtors notice and will be indemnified regarding the payment against all proceedings, civil or criminal, which may be brought against you by the company concerning the payment. If you do not discharge your legal obligation imposed by this third-party debtors notice within 7 days on receipt of this notice, you will be held liable under Section 78, failure to comply with the tax law, and Section 82, impeding tax administration of the Revenue Administration Act 2016-915, signed 8 May. Did the lawyers of GEHOC know about this? Did they advise their clients? Did they use the same speed and alacrity with which they are dragging people and kicking people and putting people, pregnant women, behind bars and taking official vehicles from them and turning the GEHOC whole establishment into an MPP office annex? There are serious concerns that have been raised by some staff. Show the other documents. By some staff, how travels are happening, how persons have been put into positions that they may not be qualified for, and how friends and cronies, and there have been talks about baby mama and whatever. Read this, 14th March, 2023. Payment of defaulting Tier 3 contributions. So Tier 1 is in arrears, Tier 2 is in arrears, Tier 3 is in arrears. We wish to draw your attention to the default in the payment of third-tier pension contribution for the employees of GEHOC Distilleries Company. The defaulting period is January 2022 to date. So 1 full year had come. We request that the total outstanding be paid as soon as possible into the GEHOC Distilleries third-tier account with Stanbic Bank. And I mentioned to you how GEHOC has gone for a loan from a certain bank, and GEHOC is supposed to be the collateral. So in the event that they can't pay, okay. Now, to avoid payment or more surcharges of 3% each month of default as stipulated by law and further involvement of a regulator, the monthly schedules for the defaulting period should be sent to the following emails, and the emails are there. You can verify. Is there yet another document? So then the question you ask is that a company of this nature, and I remember very well how the company was handed over, all right, it had been uplifted, new machines procured, etc., handed over. The company was profitable. Suddenly, the company is sinking. They can't produce the same volumes. And you know the interesting thing? They take delight in producing for another private company who are also competitors, rather than producing their own stuff. I'm saying that GEHOC, they take delight in producing for another company, right, which is also their competitor, as opposed to producing for themselves. And then you ask yourself the question, who is the liaison? Is he connected to the managing director? And in what capacity does that production happen? And where does the money go? These are questions that have been asked. GEHOC now is writing post-dated checks because Sikano Ebiniho, there's no money in the account. And I'm saying that this should be of importance. I've spoken about this matter for a year. I showed you how the premium bottles for exports were left at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather. These days, when you see Castle Bridge, right? And I'll beg the FDA, when you see Castle Bridge, I'm not what you advertise, I'm just announcing. I'm just doing my editorial. When you see Castle Bridge, you see the bottle you see, that's bottle that is supposed to be used for the exported brand. It's not a local one that you know. The local one doesn't have those dotted stuff on them. How did they start using it for the local production? Because the quality had dropped because we left them on the sun and the rain. So now we are forced to use it for the local market because the international market will reject them. I showed you that. And then you ask yourself the question, why would they procure that number of bottles if you didn't have need for it immediately? Was it because you owed people for ethanol? And what was done about it? GEHOC has had an IMC, Interim Management Committee, when Mr. Kofi Juma was not well. The company started turning around. He got back. I spoke with a board member of GEHOC who expressed disappointment and said the problem is not them. They can't rein the leadership in. And it's going down. And then when you talk about it, they'll say, oh, you are running down the... I'm not running down the place. I am raising and sounding the alarm that the place is going down. Nobody's interested in running down the place. The place is going down. And instead of the legal advisors to tell their clients that you are breaking too many laws, we have not seen that indication from them. Rather, we are seeing hands being twisted. I'll leave it here. Next week, we shall continue. Please call me 055-924-2717 and 05